it's Delaney James again. So today we are going to discuss the similarities and differences between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. This is for topic 3 in the Bio 515 class at Grand Canyon University. So let's get started. By the end of this presentation, you should have a grasp on the following objectives. The first being what part of the nervous system do these two systems go into. And then we're going to look at the structure and function of the parasympathetic system, the structure and function of the sympathetic system, and then we're going to compare both of them side by side very briefly. So let's look at our overview of the nervous system. The main division of the nervous system is the central and peripheral nervous system. We talked about the central nervous system last week, and this picture over here to the right of our flowchart, on the right side of it, we see a breakdown of the central nervous system with the brain and the spinal cord. Last week we broke down the sections of the brain. This week we're going to focus on the left side of our flowchart where we start looking at the peripheral nervous system, and more specifically, the autonomic nervous system. The peripheral nervous system breaks down into the autonomic nervous system that controls involuntary processes like heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, digestion. And then it breaks down into the somatic nervous system that controls things like voluntary movement, moving your skeletal muscles, lifting up a weight at the gym, going for a run, smiling. It controls all those voluntary movements as well as feeding information from our four senses like taste, smell, touch, and sight. The autonomic nervous system is composed of the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, meaning that they both are responsible for functions that require no active thought to occur. Both parts of the autonomic nervous system have preganglionic fibers that come from the central nervous system to the cluster of interconnecting nerve cells outside of the brain. So let's look at the structure of the parasympathetic nervous system in detail. The parasympathetic preganglionic fibers begin from the cranial and sacral, which means the lower spine, areas of our central nervous system. The fibers of the parasympathetic nervous system are longer because they will not end until they reach the terminal ganglia near the effector organ. Due to our longer preganglionic fibers, the parasympathetic nervous system has short postganglionic fibers that end on the target organ themselves. Here in this picture, we can see a model of these ganglion branching from either the base of the skull or the very bottom of our spine. The base of the skull is that cranial section. The bottom of that spine, or the spinal cord, is the sacral section. And so the whole ganglion itself leads to target organs, but it breaks it down into two different colors. We have green and we have orange. The green represents our preganglionic fiber, so it's our very, very long section. And then that's going to quickly shift to our postganglionic fibers, very, very short, that end in the target organ themselves. Oh, it's not moving on. Hang on. There we go. So, function of the parasympathetic nervous system. So, this is called the rest and digest system. It is always present. It's never not working. However, it will dominate in certain times, like in a relaxed or a quiet moment. I would describe these moments as kind of a day off scenario. Okay, I'm a teacher. When I'm at my job, it's very high stress, go, 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 usually always doing something. Okay, when you're out or you have a day off, you're out of that high stress environment. You have a time to relax, to get general maintenance done, like maybe doing your laundry, cleaning the house, go getting your car checked. These things that normally happen in life, but you need that time to do them, is what we would consider maintenance. It's also time for you to recharge and prepare to go back to work. In our body, the parasympathetic nervous system takes over during these less stressful moments and increases functions like digestion or slowing down our heart rate and our respiration. This happens physiologically because our postganglionic fibers are going to release acetylcholine. This is a major neurotransmitter that ultimately is going to contract our smooth muscle, dilate some blood vessels, increase bodily secretions. It's going to slow our heart rate, and it's ultimately going to show an inhibitory, meaning it's not going to happen, or an excitatory, meaning it's going to happen more frequently, response. And it does this by activating various G protein coupled receptor pathways, and that response is going to depend on the effector. Here we see some responses of our parasympathetic system, things such as increased digestion, so that would be an excitatory response, slow breathing or relaxed muscles, which would be an inhibitory response. And it's also a time of our cells being able to repair and regenerate themselves. So going through cell growth and things like that. We are going to switch gears and talk about the structure of the sympathetic nervous system. Our sympathetic nerve fibers begin in the lateral side of our thoracic and our lumbar region of the spinal cord. Thoracic is our chest cavity, and our lumbar is our abdominal cavity. Compared to the parasympathetic nervous system, our preganglionic fibers and our sympathetic nervous system are very, very short, which would mean that our postganglionic fibers are very, very long. Excuse me. Just like in the sympathetic system, we see preganglionic and postganglionic fibers. I'm talking about the picture here. Um, our orange color is representative of our preganglionic fibers. They're very short compared to those very, very long green fibers of our parasympathetic. The blue are postganglionic that end at our effector organ, and they're very long compared to that orange color from our parasympathetic. And this has to do with the nerves that are being transmitted and the type of neurotransmitter that is being received. Function of the sympathetic nervous system. This is probably something that you've heard of if you've never taken a physiological course before. It is referred to as our fight or our flight system. So instead of releasing acetylcholine at the postganglionic fibers, the sympathetic nervous system is going to release norepinephrine, which acts as an androgenic receptor in our target tissue. Norepinephrine, along with adrenaline, is responsible for increasing heart rate, the amount of blood that's pumped from the heart. It's going to increase your heart rate. If you ever have like an adrenaline effect, your heart's beating really fast, you're very excited about something, it's because adrenaline or hormone is pumping into your body, making that happen. This is especially useful in our sympathetic nervous system because it's going to dominate during strenuous physical activity in an emergency or a stressful situation. This is why we refer to it as fight or flight, because the goal of the sympathetic nervous system is to prepare our body to fight against or flee from a threat. The way the body does this is by increasing blood flow, by increasing your heart's beats per minute, um, and it also will increase the force along with your blood pressure in order to supply many organs and tissues in your body with oxygenated blood. The respiratory airways are going to dilate, which are going to allow maximum airflow. Sugar and fat storages are going to break down, which is going to release extra fuel that's going to supply our skeletal muscles with nutrient-rich blood in order for those muscles to withstand a strenuous physical activity like running really far or fighting back. And so your body is going to respond one of two ways. It's either going to fight back, meaning it's going to work really hard to defend something off, or it's going to flee. It's going to work really hard to get away from wherever the threat is. And so this picture right here is going to summarize some of the effects that we see. The noticeable effects, like your pupils dilate, you're sweating, you get chest pain, you breathe really fast, your muscles tense up, Okay, all of that is stuff that we feel when we know something stressful is going on. Some of the hidden effects is this idea that adrenaline is going to release. That's one of our hormones. Um, we have glucose, which is going to release, which is going to provide that energy that I just talked about. And our digestion is going to slow because we don't need to put energy in that right now. Right now, our body is focused on getting away from this threat. And right now, digesting food is not our top priority. So the sympathetic nervous system is going to decrease our digestion, but increase the things that our body really needs in order to get through this threat. So, overall, the parasympathetic is going to take over in order for the body to reset, and the sympathetic is going to take over in order for the body to prepare for a vigorous activity. Both systems are different, but they do have some similarities. They balance each other out in order to restore homeostasis in the body. If we think about it, the parasympathetic nervous system is just resetting the body after the sympathetic system takes over. We're going to start constricting our pupils. We're going to stimulate some flow. We're going to slow our heartbeat down again. We're going to start digesting food again. All of our parts of our body are going to start to either increase or decrease in action so our body can be working in a normal system again. They both release the same neurotransmitter at the preganglionic fiber, which is going to be acetylcholine. The big similarity is that they are both part of the autonomic nervous system. Okay, so they're both originate from the spinal cord, and they're going to control things that physiologically we have no conscious control over. We don't control how fast our heart beats. We don't control how much we're going to breathe or how dilated or constricted our bronchi are in order to allow increased airflow. Okay, we never really think about that. It just kind of happens in our body. They're part of this automatic system. For example, the pupils dilate during the sympathetic system, and the parasympathetic system dominates, has the pupils to constrict. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. So, if you look at this picture, the sympathetic and parasympathetic system, you'll see that these actions kind of mimic each other in what's happening. We're both talking about pupils, saliva flow, bronchi, heartbeat, but it's the opposite for whatever system is dominating. So when I just mentioned pupils, that's the example I was talking about. If we look at the sympathetic system, our pupils are going to dilate. Okay, they're going to allow the focus of light to change, and our parasympathetic is going to constrict our pupils because if you're trying to survive a threat, the amount of light that you're letting into your eyes is important versus if you're just resting and resetting your body. So we see this with heartbeat. Okay, our accelerated heartbeat in the sympathetic or the fight or flight. If you are running away from a threat, your heart's beating really, really fast. You're stressed out. You can feel it. You feel your heart beating super fast, and that's in order to get blood to all those muscles that are working. Okay, in your parasympathetic nervous system, your heartbeat slows because you don't need to overwork your heart to get blood to your body if you're just sitting and resting. Okay, it's like an opposite of each system. We have fight or flight in the sympathetic, and we have rest and digest in the parasympathetic. These are my sources. I hope that you guys learned a thing or two. Um, and please feel free to add comments or questions. I would love to answer them. Have a blessed day.